Hello and welcome to Wisdom and Wealth. If this is your first time visiting our channel, we explore timeless wisdom and practical strategies for living a richer, more fulfilling life, especially for those of us navigating the complexities of life after 40. If you appreciate the content, please consider liking and subscribing so you never miss an upload. Imagine this: you're lying in bed, exhausted, but your mind just won't shut down. It's 2 a.m., and you're staring at the ceiling as a million thoughts race through your head. Work deadlines loom large, that mistake you made yesterday keeps replaying, and you're consumed by worries about what could possibly go wrong tomorrow. The harder you try to quiet your mind, the faster it seems to spin. This scenario, unfortunately, is far too familiar to many of us as we get older. The weight of responsibilities, careers, and family often leads to restless nights and an overactive mind. But there is a solution. It does not have to be that way. It feels like you're trapped in an endless, frustrating loop, a mental hamster wheel you just can't jump off. This, my friends, is overthinking. It's more than just thinking a lot. It's a silent thief that steals your inner peace, drains your precious energy, and relentlessly convinces you that the absolute worst-case scenario is right around the corner. The cruelest part of all this is that the harder you fight it, the tighter its grip becomes. I've been there myself, countless times. There were countless nights when I would desperately tell myself, just sleep. Stop thinking. But instead of the peaceful silence I craved, my mind transformed into a raging storm, filled with the echoes of old regrets, imagined conversations that never actually happened, and terrifying disasters that never even came close to materializing. By morning, I felt like I had just run a mental marathon, completely depleted. If you're feeling this way, please understand that you're definitely not alone in this struggle. And if you are liking this so far, please subscribe to our channel. Overthinking is a common challenge that most of us struggle with at some point in our lives, especially in a world that constantly demands more from us, more decisions, more responsibilities, more pressure. The constant bombardment of information and expectations can easily overwhelm our minds, leading to a state of chronic overthinking. But here's the incredibly good news. There is a way to break free from this cycle. Buddhist wisdom, which has been passed down for over 2,500 years, provides gentle yet powerful tools to help quiet that restless mind. It's not about forcing thoughts to stop, which often backfires, but rather about learning to see them differently. It's not about struggling to find silence, but about creating the space for peace to naturally arise within you. The tools are very practical. Today, I want to guide you through these timeless teachings step by step. We'll delve into how to let go of things you simply can't control, how to gently return to the present moment whenever your mind wanders, and how to free yourself from the illusion that every single thought you have is worth believing or dwelling on. These are powerful concepts, proven to work. Most importantly, I'm going to share with you a little-known technique that has dramatically changed the way I personally handle my own racing thoughts. It's a technique that very few people actually talk about, but once you truly understand it, it has the potential to completely transform the way you see your mind and, ultimately, your life. So, please stay with me until the very end because what you'll discover today may very well be the key you've been searching for. It's the key to finally making peace with your thoughts and finding a sense of calm, no matter what storms arise in your life. 1. Let go of what you can't change. There's something that we all do, almost without even noticing it. We hold on far too tightly to things. We hold on to plans that didn't go as we imagined they would. We hold on to people who have already walked out of our lives. We even hold on to the unrealistic idea that if we just try hard enough, we can somehow control everything around us. We must learn to let go. This is easier said than done. But here's the unvarnished truth. We absolutely cannot. And the more we desperately try to, the more life slips right out of our grasp, like grains of sand through our open fingers. Think about it for a moment. How many nights have you stayed awake replaying a conversation over and over in your mind, wishing you had said something different? How many times have you anxiously worried about what someone else thinks of you, even though you can't control their thoughts, their feelings, or their choices. It's completely exhausting. And yet, we find ourselves doing it again and again, stubbornly believing that if we just think hard enough, we can somehow bend reality to match our own desires. The Buddha taught us that suffering does not just come from what happens to us, but from the clinging, the grasping, the desperate attempt to hold on to things that were never really ours to control in the first place. If you are finding value in this, be sure to subscribe to our channel. I once met someone who carried the immense weight of a broken relationship for many, many years. They replayed every memory, every mistake, like a movie stuck on repeat. And each and every time, the pain came back even stronger than before. They weren't actually suffering because of the breakup itself anymore. They were suffering because they simply couldn't bring themselves to let it go. Now, letting go doesn't mean that you stop caring about someone. And it certainly doesn't mean that you give up on your responsibilities. It simply means that you stop fighting battles that were never really yours to win in the first place. Now, imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. Everywhere you go, it weighs you down, restricting your movements. Now, imagine someone gently tells you, you can set it down now. You don't have to carry it anymore. That's what letting go truly feels like. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of freedom. The Buddha once said, you can only lose what you cling to. When you loosen your grip, you stop being a prisoner of your own rigid expectations. You stop measuring your own self-worth by outcomes that you can't actually control. And suddenly, there's space. Space for peace, space for joy, space for clarity. So, let me ask you this. What are you holding on to right now that is far too heavy for your precious heart? Is it lingering regret about the past, paralyzing fear about the future, or perhaps a person you know you can't change, no matter how much you might wish you could? Here's what Buddhist wisdom gently invites us to do: notice the weight. Breathe into it. And then, slowly, gently, place it down. You certainly don't have to drop everything all at once. You don't have to pretend that it never mattered to you. But you can loosen your grip, little by little. And each and every time you do, you'll feel lighter, more free, and more alive. Because peace does not come from controlling the storm. It comes from releasing the insatiable need to control things at all. 2. Return to the now. Let me ask you something else. Where is your mind right now, as you're watching this video? Is it replaying something from yesterday? An argument, a mistake, a memory that you wish had gone differently? Or is it already racing ahead into tomorrow, anxiously worrying about what might happen, planning, controlling, overthinking every possible scenario? That's what most of us do, isn't it? Our minds tend to wander, either backward into regret or forward into fear. And in the process, we completely miss the only place where life is actually happening, right here, in this very moment. The Buddha once said, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Simple words, yes, but incredibly powerful. Because the present is not just another moment, it is the only moment that we truly have. If you're liking the content, consider subscribing to our channel. I distinctly remember a time in my life when I was always racing ahead, constantly chasing after some future version of myself. I thought that peace would come after I reached a certain goal, after I fixed a certain problem, after I achieved just one more thing. But the finish line kept moving further and further away. And no matter how fast I ran, peace was always just one step out of reach. Have you ever felt that way? That nagging sense that happiness is always waiting on the other side of, when I get that new job, when I heal from this pain, when life finally slows down. But here's the honest truth. Peace is not waiting for you somewhere else. It's already right here, right now. The problem is that we're often too distracted to actually notice it. Think of it this way. Imagine you're walking through a beautiful garden. The flowers are blooming, the birds are singing, and the sun is warming your skin. But you're so focused on your phone, scrolling endlessly, that you don't see any of it. That's how we live most of our days. Life is happening all around us, but our minds are somewhere else entirely. Coming back to the now doesn't mean ignoring your responsibilities or forgetting about your dreams. It simply means remembering that this breath, this step, this heartbeat, that's where life is truly unfolding. And when you anchor yourself in the present, something profound shifts within you. You feel grounded, you feel steady, and you feel truly alive. There's a practice in Buddhism called mindful walking. It's so simple, yet so profound. As you walk, you don't just rush to your destination. You gently place your foot on the ground, feeling the contact. You breathe in, and you breathe out. You remind yourself, I have arrived. I am home. And suddenly, every step becomes a step into peace. So, here's what I invite you to do. The next time your mind starts spinning into the past or racing into the future, simply pause. Take one slow, deliberate breath. Look around you. Feel the chair supporting you, the air touching your skin, and the sound surrounding you. That's the present moment. That's your true home. The past is gone, and the future hasn't arrived yet. But the present, this now, is always here, quietly waiting for you to return. And when you do, you'll realize something beautiful. Peace was never far away. It was never missing. It was always here, within your reach. We just forgot to notice it. So, let's come back. Not tomorrow. Not someday, but now. Because now is all we ever really have. 3. Thoughts are temporary guests. Have you ever noticed how some thoughts arrive completely uninvited and then stubbornly refuse to leave? One moment you're perfectly fine, and the next moment your mind is flooded with deep regret about the past or crippling fear about the future. It feels so incredibly real, so heavy, as if this single thought is the absolute truth about who you are and what your life will inevitably become. But here's the crucial point. Those thoughts, no matter how intense, are not permanent. They don't define you. They're simply like clouds drifting across the open sky. The Buddha often reminded his students, all conditioned things are impermanent, and that includes our thoughts. Each one arises, stays for a moment, and then inevitably disappears. Just like a guest who visits your home, they come, they stay for a while, and eventually they leave. The problem is that we often mistake the guest for the homeowner. We think, if I feel fear, then I must be fear. Or, if I have this regret, then I must be broken. But no, you are not the guest. You are the home. You are the spacious awareness that thoughts simply pass through. If you like what you hear so far, you really should subscribe. I remember a time when I was utterly consumed by self-doubt. Every single morning, I woke up with the same critical voice in my head, whispering, "You're not good enough. You'll fail." It felt like a permanent part of my identity, as if that voice was me. But over time, with dedicated practice, I began to see it differently. That voice wasn't me. It was just a visitor. Loud, pushy, and overstaying its welcome, but still, only a visitor. And when I started treating it as such, something truly powerful happened. It lost its control over me. Here's the mental shift I want you to imagine. Picture your mind as a vast blue sky. Now, picture your thoughts, your worries, your fears, your memories, as clouds. Some clouds are light and fluffy, while others are dark and stormy. But no matter how heavy or how thick they are, none of them can erase the sky. The sky always remains, wide, open, and untouched. That sky is you, your true self, your awareness, your calm center. When you remember that thoughts are only visitors, you stop giving them the power to run your life. You can watch them come and go, the way you would watch cars passing on the road outside your window. You don't need to chase after every car. You don't need to stop each one and demand answers. You just simply notice them and let them pass. The next time a painful thought arises, try this. Instead of saying, "This is me. This is who I am," say, "Ah, a visitor has arrived." Label it gently: this is fear. This is regret. This is worry. And then breathe. Allow it to simply be there, without resistance. And just as naturally as it appeared, it will eventually fade away. This doesn't mean that thoughts will never come again. Of course, they will. But the difference is that they no longer control you. You no longer mistake them for your identity. You no longer confuse the passing cloud with the endless sky. So, remember this: you are not your fear. You are not your regret. You are not even your thoughts. You are the awareness that watches them come and go. And the more you live from that awareness, the more peace you will inevitably discover within yourself. 4. Rest in impermanence. Think about this for a moment. Every joy you've ever felt, every heartbreak you've ever carried, none of it stayed forever. The happiest moments eventually fade, and the darkest nights, they too eventually end. This is one of life's deepest truths: everything changes. Everything passes. The Buddha called it anicca, or impermanence. And while at first, this might sound sad, it's actually a great source of comfort. Because impermanence means that no matter how heavy your suffering feels right now, it won't last. It means that the fear, the regret, the overthinking, none of it has the power to stay forever. I remember a season in my life when grief weighed on me like a heavy stone. I thought it would never leave me. Every morning, I woke up and carried it like a burden on my back. But slowly, almost without even noticing it, the weight began to shift. One day, I laughed again. Another day, I found myself enjoying a sunset. And I realized that what had once felt endless was actually moving, changing, and softening. This is the incredible gift of impermanence. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Pain doesn't last forever, but it also means joy doesn't last forever. And that's why life is so precious, because every moment is fleeting. The Buddha once said, "Arising and ceasing, all things are impermanent." When you see this with wisdom, you grow disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to purity. To see impermanence clearly is not to despair, it's to find freedom. When we understand that everything is temporary, we stop clinging so tightly. We don't hold on to joy as if it could stay forever, and we don't fight pain as if it will crush us forever. Instead, we rest in the natural flow of life, knowing that both joy and pain will eventually pass. Picture a storm. When the rain pours down, it feels endless. But have you ever seen a storm that lasted forever? Eventually, the clouds part, the air clears, and the sun returns. Your mind, your emotions, your struggles, they're like that too, temporary storms in the wide sky of your life. So, here's something you can practice: when you feel joy, cherish it. Don't cling to it, just appreciate it. Like watching fireworks light up the night sky, knowing they'll eventually fade, but still allowing yourself to be amazed. And when you feel sorrow, remind yourself, this too shall pass. Not as an empty phrase, but as a truth you can trust. Because every experience in your life so far has already proven it: nothing has stayed the same. Impermanence teaches us two things at once: to fully savor the good, and to gently release the bad. It's like holding sand in your hand. If you clutch it too tightly, it slips away. But if you hold it gently, you can feel its texture, its warmth, without losing the beauty of the moment. So, let impermanence be your teacher. Let it remind you to live fully now. To breathe, to see, to love, without demanding forever. Because forever isn't the point. The point is presence. The point is knowing that life, in its constant change, is still a gift. 5. Practice gratitude. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to get stuck in your own head? The constant noise of worries, what-ifs, and never-ending to-do lists. It's like a relentless storm that refuses to quiet down. And in the middle of that storm, peace feels utterly impossible. But here's something I've learned both from my own personal life and from the profound wisdom of the Buddha. A mind filled with fear and overthinking simply cannot exist in the same space as a heart filled with gratitude. They just don't mix. It's like trying to light a candle in a dark room. Once the flame appears, the darkness has no choice but to fade. Think about this for a moment. Every time you pause to notice something simple that you already have, you are inviting peace back into your life. Maybe it's the warmth of your morning tea, maybe it's a friend who checks in on you, or maybe it's just the fact that you are still breathing in this very moment. Gratitude doesn't need grand gestures. It thrives in the small, often overlooked details of daily life. The Buddha once said, "Let us rise up and be thankful. For if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So, let us all be thankful." This teaching is incredibly simple, yet profoundly liberating. It reminds us that even in hardship, there is always something left to honor, something left to cherish. For me, this practice shifted everything. I used to wake up and immediately dive into stress, emails, deadlines, problems waiting to be solved. My mind was already racing before I even got out of bed. But when I started writing down just 3 things I was grateful for each morning, everything softened. Not all at once, but gradually. The storm didn't control me the same way anymore. Gratitude became my anchor. Be sure to like and subscribe, and tell a friend. And here's the beauty of it all, gratitude actually rewires the way we see the world. When we're focused on lack, on what's missing, life feels heavy and burdensome. But when we train our attention to notice what's already here, even if it's small, we realize that abundance has always surrounded us. That shift, tiny but powerful, changes how we move through each day. So how do we actually practice gratitude? It doesn't need to be complicated. Pause right now. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what is one thing, right here in this moment, that I can be grateful for? Don't search for something perfect, just something real. The sound of birds outside, the roof over your head, the fact that your heart is still beating, carrying you through another day. Gratitude is not about ignoring problems. It's about creating space in your heart so the problems don't consume you. It's about reminding yourself that life, even in its struggles, still holds gifts worth noticing. So the next time your mind feels crowded, filled with thoughts that spin in circles, pause, shift your focus, find one thing, just one thing, to be thankful for. And watch how the storm begins to calm. Gratitude doesn't erase the chaos of life, but it gives you the strength to walk through it with a lighter heart. And maybe that's all we really need, not a life without challenges, but a heart that can still see beauty in the middle of them. So today, let gratitude be your practice. Not someday, not when life is perfect, but now, exactly as it is. 6. Embrace simplicity. Have you ever felt like life is pulling you in 1,000 different directions? Work deadlines, family responsibilities, social media screaming for your attention, and on top of that, the constant chase for more money, more success, more validation. It never ends, does it? I know that feeling all too well. There was a time I thought that happiness would finally arrive once I achieved the next big goal. But every time I reached it, the finish line moved again. The result, exhaustion, restlessness, and an endless race that I could never actually win. The Buddha once taught that craving is the root of suffering. And it's absolutely true. The more we grasp, the heavier life feels. But here's the beautiful paradox: when we choose simplicity, when we let go of the relentless race, we discover that happiness has been sitting quietly beside us all along. Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you felt genuine peace? Was it during a luxury trip? Or was it in a simple moment, watching the sunset, laughing with a friend, sipping warm tea on a cold morning? Simplicity isn't about having less. It's about needing less. And that, my friend, is a profound form of freedom. I remember when I first tried living more simply. I started small, decluttering my room, saying no to things that drained me, and choosing presence over constant distraction. And little by little, something shifted within me. My mind grew lighter, I stopped comparing myself to everyone else, and for the first time in a long time, I felt genuinely free. Simplicity doesn't mean you abandon ambition or stop caring about the future. It means you no longer let endless desires dictate your peace. The Buddha said, "Contentment is the greatest wealth." And when you think about it, that's true richness, being content with enough, instead of chasing what never ends. So, how can you practice this? Start by asking yourself, what can I release today? Maybe it's a possession you don't really need. Maybe it's an expectation that's been weighing you down. Or maybe it's just the habit of always trying to do more, instead of savoring what's already here. Simplicity isn't boring. It's spacious, it's clarity, and it's the quiet reminder that peace isn't found in adding more layers, but in peeling them back. Please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. So today, I invite you to pause. Look around you. Notice the ordinary blessings that often go unnoticed, the air in your lungs, the smile of someone you love, the stillness of this very moment. When you embrace simplicity, you step out of the race. You stop running after life, and instead you finally begin to truly live it. Because sometimes the most profound freedom is found not in having everything, but in realizing you already have enough. 7. Will this matter in 5 years? Have you ever lost sleep over something so small, only to look back years later and wonder, why did I even worry that much? Maybe it was an argument with a coworker, maybe it was a mistake you made in front of others, or maybe it was that bill you thought would crush you, but somehow you managed to get through it. At the time, it felt unbearable, but today it hardly matters at all. This is the insidious trap of the mind. When worry strikes, it feels like the end of the world. Our hearts race, our thoughts spiral out of control, and suddenly, one small problem looks like a towering mountain. I've been there too, lying awake at 2 a.m., replaying the same scenario over and over, as if worrying could somehow change the outcome. But here's a simple question that changed everything for me. What if I step back and ask myself, will this still matter in 5 years? The moment I asked that, something shifted within me. Most of the time, the answer was a resounding no. That argument, that bill, that moment of embarrassment, they were just passing storms. Yes, they felt intense in the moment, but like every storm, they eventually passed. The Buddha taught that suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from how we cling to it. And this simple question, will this matter in 5 years? Is like a sword that cuts right through that clinging. It gives us space, it reminds us that peace of mind is worth more than being right, worth more than winning, worth more than holding on to something that time will erase anyway. Be sure to like the content. I remember a time when I made a huge mistake at work. I thought it would ruin my entire career. For weeks, I carried the immense weight of shame and fear. But looking back now, that moment didn't destroy me. In fact, it taught me resilience. And 5 years later, nobody even remembers it. Only I was the one who was still holding on to it. That's the real danger. Our mind tricks us into believing that today's worry will last forever. But life proves otherwise. So the next time you feel trapped in overthinking, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? If the answer is no, release it. Don't let it steal your peace. If the answer is yes, then you'll know it's worth your energy, but approach it from a place of clarity, not panic. This one simple question brings perspective. It lifts us above the storm and helps us see the bigger sky. It reminds us that life is far too short and peace is far too precious to waste on battles that time itself will forget. So maybe tonight, instead of losing sleep, you can smile, take a breath, and whisper to yourself, in 5 years, this probably won't even matter, but my peace matters right now. Summary and conclusion. Overthinking is like a heavy cloud. It covers the sky, it makes the world feel gray, and sometimes it feels endless. But here's the truth, behind that cloud, the blue sky has never actually left. It was always there, calm, spacious, and unmoved. And through this journey together, we've explored how to part those clouds, step by step. By letting go of what we can't control, by returning to the present moment, by recognizing that our thoughts are only visitors, by resting in the wisdom of impermanence, by planting seeds of gratitude, by embracing simplicity, and by asking ourselves the powerful question, will this matter in 5 years? Each practice is like a gentle breeze. Slowly, the fog of overthinking begins to thin out, until one day you see it, the vast, open sky of your own mind, the peace that was never really gone, just forgotten. Remember to subscribe. And maybe this is the greatest lesson of all, peace is not found in pushing thoughts away. Peace is found in learning to live with them, to let them come and let them go, without losing yourself in the storm. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." It is in this presence that we rediscover freedom. Think back to the cliffhanger I shared with you at the beginning, those moments when we're trapped in restless thoughts, convinced that we're drowning. Now you can see that there is a way out. Not by fighting the mind, but by befriending it. Not by controlling life, but by flowing with it. That's how the cloud lifts, that's how peace returns. And perhaps as you listen now, someone comes to your mind, a friend, a sibling, maybe even a parent who is caught in their own storm of thoughts. If you think of them, maybe share this message with them, not as advice, but as a gentle reminder, you are not alone, and peace has always been within you. Because sometimes one small reminder can change the way someone carries their pain. So, thank you for staying with me until the very end of this journey. It means that you care deeply about your own peace. And I truly hope that you carry these practices with you into your days and your nights. If this message touched something within you, you might want to keep walking this path with me. Feel free to follow, to like, and to share this video with someone who needs a little bit of light today. Not because I ask you to, but because peace grows stronger when it is shared. And please feel free to share with anyone who needs to hear this message. Until next time, may your heart be calm, may your steps be light, and may you always remember, behind every cloud, the blue sky of peace is waiting for you.